as the Father has sent me, I also send you. And when he said this, he breathed on them and said to them, receive the Holy Spirit. And when he said this, he breathed on them and said to them, if you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven. If you retain the sins of any, they are retained. Now, listen, I'll go back. There's a power that we have. There's an echo. There's a power that we have that we often misuse. There's a power that we have that we often misuse, and that's the power to forgive. That's the power to forgive.
Come on, Bishop.
It's the power to forgive. And boy, I get so annoyed. We're good. I get so annoyed when Christians or believers or followers of Jesus or what would Jesus do can't find it in their heart to forgive somebody.
That's right. Come on, Bishop.
But Bishop, you don't know how bad they hurt me. Tell it to the man on the cross.
Come on now.
Tell it to the man on the cross. He said, if you forgive their sins, they're forgiven. Can you pull it back up? If you retain it, then they're retained. So there's some people that can't move forward because you won't let them go. You're holding them in the prison of their past. You're holding them in the prison of because every time you look at them, you see what they did. Every time you think about them, you talk about what they did. And they're struggling to move forward, and they don't realize why they can't, and you're the problem with your saved self. I'm just telling you what Jesus said. He said, if you forgive sins of any, they're forgiven them. But if you retain the sins of any, they're retained. You think that's arbitrary that he would say that at this moment? I just got up out of the grave. And before I'll go back to heaven to be beside my Father and your Father, I'm going to first prove to you that I did exactly what I said I would do. Keep going. Now Thomas, now boy, I tell you what, Thomas has got to be the most criticized disciple on the history of planet Earth. It may be Mars. Because there's nothing like being able to see what somebody else did that gives us ammunition. But the truth is, somebody sees what you do too. Now, Thomas called a twin, one of the 12. One of the 12 was not with him when Jesus came. So the other disciples therefore said to him, we have seen the Lord. Thomas, we've seen him. Now, look, there are going to be some people who come to know Jesus because of our testimony. But there are going to be some people that's got to see for themselves. Right? And if you tell somebody about a party that's going to be lit, they'll take your word for it. They'll drive across town, dress themselves up and go check it out. You tell a church going to be lit, and they, no, I don't know about that. Thomas comes and they say, oh my God, dude, we saw Jesus. And one of my texts is here, twofold. So Thomas said to them, unless I see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe. Now, leave it right there. Now, this is a disciple, a follower of Christ. This is a believer that Jesus is the Messiah. But life happens to all of us. And when he saw Jesus hanging on that cross, it shattered his faith. It shattered it. It shattered it. And while we criticize Thomas, man, there are more of us like Thomas than we care to admit. because sometimes life happens and we don't know how to feel about it. But we don't want to be honest and vulnerable because we're going to think people going to think we don't have faith. Right? Like everybody in the church is supposed to be well. That's the opposite of what the church is supposed to be filled with. It's supposed to be filled with people that are sick, people that are broken, people that are hurt, people that are lost, people that are lonely, people that can't figure it out. Right? Right? We don't get dressed up to pretend. We come to be vulnerable and say, look, I need to fill up my spiritual man. I need to build him up so I can deal with Monday, and then I got to deal with Tuesday, and then I got to deal with Wednesday. And I can't do it by myself. Last week told me that. I came this close to, right? They all hyped up. We saw it. You know, like when you see God for yourself and you experience a miracle, and you just want, it's Christmas Day, you want to tell everybody it's real. It's Santa Claus. Jesus is real, right? And they're like, dude, I can't even pay my light bill. I don't have gas to put in my car. My credit cards run up so high, I don't know if I'll ever be able to pay them off. Right? I don't want to hear about this Jesus. Thomas said, I just saw that man die in public. Sorry, I'm not feeling it. So unless I see it with my own eyes, and then I want to put my hand in the hole so I know it's really him. I don't care what y'all say. And you know people like that. You tell them, man, let me tell you what God did for me. No, until I see him do it for me. But here's what Jesus is different from us. When we hear that, we then detach from that person. We say, if you can't accept my testimony, then I'm done. But that's not what Jesus did. Right? And look, let's be honest. Like, I get it. Like, I don't go out to dinner with people on Sunday who don't come to church on Sunday. I might go out to dinner with you on Monday, but I'm not going to do it on Sunday. Like, we all do it. We all do it. Don't call me after church and say, what are you doing? I just did it. Now I'm off. They ain't doing nothing. Back to my coffee pants and something to binge. I done already did what I was going to do on Sunday. I started at 11. So Thomas has made a decision. Unless I see for myself and put my hand where they nailed his hand, I won't believe that he has risen. And after 8 days, his disciples were again inside, and Thomas was with them. And Jesus came, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst. The doors being shut, he just showed up. Like nobody's sitting next to Deidre, and all of a sudden, somebody's sitting next to Deidre. And we didn't see Adrian open the door, and we didn't see nobody walk down. We just looked, and all of a sudden, somebody's sitting next to Deidre. Right? Like again, I'm not going to deal with that, but I'm just saying. It's not a novel. You got to really read it. And Thomas was with them. And Jesus came, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst and said, peace to you. Man, he keeps greeting them that way. Then he said to Thomas, so we established one fact. He only came for Thomas. He only came for Thomas. He only came for Thomas. Now look, here's what I want you to see, because this is what God was showing me. Doubt is a natural enemy of faith, yes. Doubt can prevent you from seeing the power of God, but it doesn't negate the power of God's existence. You might not see it, but that don't mean it ain't there. Because you choose to doubt. So although doubt will alter your faith from being effective, it won't alter Jesus from seeing who you are. And truthfully, if it did, none of us would be here. We weren't born believers. We weren't born believers. And even those of us who was raised in the church, I remember going to a church and the pastor's son was selling stolen car radios in the bathroom. Tried to sell me one without a chastity. I said, well, how am I going to put it in my car? And he went on to become a famous Atlanta rapper. I'll stop right there. Just saying. Uh-oh. This one might get picked up. He came just for Thomas. Now, what's amazing about that is, even though Thomas had decided he wasn't going to believe unless he saw, which is the exact opposite of what real faith is. Real faith is seeing without believing. But Thomas said, no, I'm so shattered. I'm so broken. You're going to have to show yourself to me. And while that might turn us off, it didn't turn Jesus off. Jesus said, before I go back to where I came from, I'm going to make one more stop just for Thomas. And he appeared in that room with the door shut, and he said to Thomas, he only came for Thomas. Thomas wasn't praising. He wasn't worshiping. He wasn't speaking in tongues. Thomas had dug his feet in and said, I don't care what y'all say. I saw him die, and I saw him get buried, and he's a fraud. And then sometimes you dealing with something in life, and it makes you hate every testimony you hear because you wonder why, if God is doing it for them, why won't he do it for me? You don't want to say it, but if your bathroom could talk, if your closet could talk, if your car could talk. He said to Thomas, reach your finger here and look at my hands, and reach your hand here and put it into my side. Now, before I finish the last part of that verse, I want you to understand one thing. He's showing Thomas that he knew exactly what was in his heart, because he wasn't there when Thomas said it. Thomas said this to the other disciples. Jesus shows up and says to Thomas, I know exactly how you feel. And if that don't make you love the Lord just a little bit more. He said to Thomas exactly what Thomas wanted to say to him. He wanted Thomas to know, I know what's in your heart. I know how you feel. Hey, Thomas, put your finger right here. Isn't that what you want to do? Hey, Thomas, put your finger right here. Isn't that what you need to see? And then he said to Thomas, do not be unbelieving, but believing. So while doubt might prevent us from seeing God move, doubt doesn't prevent God from moving. And so just because somebody hasn't wrapped their arms around the notion of Jesus as the Christ doesn't mean we cut them off. We keep watering the seed. We keep watering the seed. We keep watering the seed. Keep going. And Thomas answered and said to him, my Lord and my God. That was it. That was it. One act of grace, in spite of human flaw, caused somebody who had completely lost their faith to see, like spiritually, who Jesus was. Now he sees him in a way he never has before. It's like when Elijah said to the Lord, will you show my servant Gehazi why I'm not afraid of the army that's out in front of us? And he opened up his spiritual eye. He saw the spiritual army that was around them. Now Thomas is saying, my Lord and my God. My Lord and my God. And his heart is pierced, and he's right back in love with Jesus. But what if Jesus hadn't loved him enough? What if Jesus hadn't loved him enough? The difference between winning one and not winning one is loving people beyond their flaws. Because if Jesus had not loved Thomas beyond his doubt, Thomas would have been lost. But Jesus didn't came to lose one. He came to win one. Jesus said to him, Thomas, because you have seen me, you have believed. Good for you. Good for you. That's what I was hoping. That's why I came. But blessed are those, look around, that's us, who have not seen and yet have believed. Because Jesus is saying, if the rest of my disciples need the same proof you needed, we're in trouble. So blessed are those who can believe me without ever having seen me. And truly, Jesus did many other signs in the presence of his disciples which are not written in this book. Because there's just not room enough. But these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing you may have life in his name. In other words, he says, I wrote just what I thought you needed to hear to help you see who Jesus is. Now watch this. Now watch this. Jesus didn't condemn Thomas. It's not our place to condemn. The bishop, they just won't get it right. They just won't, but it's not our place to condemn. Jesus didn't come to condemn the world. He came to save the world through him. Jesus came back for Thomas. He didn't let Thomas go. He didn't walk away from Thomas. He came back for him. And then he showed himself. But let me leave you with this. All right, start pulling them up one after another. Let me leave you with this. So the problem here becomes, or the question here becomes, all right, let's go. And there was a ton of these scriptures to back this up. I just chose the three I was led to choose. Let's start with Matthew 16:21. From that time, Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed and raised the third day. Okay, go to the next one. Follow me. Just three scriptures. Follow me. Did you follow that? Okay, now we're in Mark 9:30-32. Then they departed from there and passed through Galilee, and he did not want anyone to know it. For he taught his disciples and said to them, the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of men, and they will kill him. And after he is killed, he will rise the third day. You notice a theme here? You notice a theme here? Luke 18:31-33. Okay, all right. Caleb like, don't kill me. Then he took the 12 aside and said to them, behold, we are going up to Jerusalem, and all things that are written by the prophets concerning the Son of Man will be accomplished. For he will be delivered to the Gentiles and will be mocked and insulted and spit upon. They will scourge him and kill him, and the third day he will rise again. Are you seeing something here? Are you seeing something here? So it wasn't like Thomas didn't know Jesus was going to die. It wasn't like he didn't know. So while Thomas was given grace, and this is a church of grace, sometimes we got to deal with the facts. It's not like he didn't know. You can't choose to believe the part of the Bible that suits you today and don't believe the part that Jesus told you was going to happen. So although they were shattered to the fact that Jesus died, I really don't understand why when he told them he was going to die. So if the Lord has already said in his word, then why are we so surprised when it happens? Why is Thomas now losing faith and falling away from Christ because something happened that Jesus said would happen? And moreover, why is it so difficult to believe that the disciples saw him when Jesus said, I'm going to rise up on the third day? So either you accept it or you don't. And so the question becomes, had he accepted the truth when Jesus told it to him, would he have not been better prepared for this moment? And would you and I not be better prepared for the adversity at its worst if we just accept the truth? Jesus said, I'm going to go. They're going to kill me. And then I'm going to get up out of that grave on the third day. So why then, when he dies, do we feel like he let us down? Right? In this world, you will have tribulation. So why, when you have tribulation, we turn away from Jesus instead of saying, now what else did you say? I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Behold, I give you power to trample over snakes and scorpions and over all the powers of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means harm you. Now unto him who is able to do exceeding abundantly above all you can ask or think, according to the power that works in you. And yes, weeping may endure for a night. It doesn't mean you don't trust God. He already knows you're going to have some days that it's going to be hard to hang in there with him. But he's counting on you to believe that that day is going to too pass, and then joy will be restored. Everything is seasonal. Everything is seasonal. And I'm not saying it would have been easy to deal with, but I am saying it would have been easier. My wife and I experienced something that happened to somebody that's extremely close to us both. And it was traumatic. And it was unjust. And there was nothing that we could do about it. And there was nothing the person could do about it. And I noticed that neither one of us fell apart. Neither one of us got depressed. Neither one of us started over figuring what to do, and neither did the person. Right? And it's in those moments when you realize who you really are and who God really is to you. But today my purpose is this. It's okay that you don't always get it right like that. Because there'll be some times you'll be able to deal with it and say, I'm going to put it in God's hand. And truthfully, there's going to be some times that you can't deal with it. And you struggle. And you need God to come down from heaven. Not just be omnipresent. You know, be right here where I'm at. Like, I need some tangible proof. So, Thomas, I apologize, buddy. There's a lesson to learn here. Because there's days I'm Thomas. There's days you're Thomas. And maybe your spouse knows it. Or maybe your kids hear it. Or maybe your grandkids get a whiff of it. That you ain't always walking around quoting scriptures. Or you ain't always blessed and highly favored. But it doesn't negate who you are in Jesus. And Jesus doesn't see you any different because of that. God wouldn't turn off from Thomas. He turned on to Thomas. I can't leave with my man thinking, I can't leave with my man like this. Now, we would have said, man, oh, this is out in the street. Let's get him out of here. I mean, God, Lee, we already in here. But they was already enough scared too, so it really wasn't no difference between any of them. We don't want the Jews to kill us. We don't want the Jews to kill us. Right? Man, I'm sincerely sorry for my criticism. Right? Because sometimes it happens to the strongest of faith warriors. Sometimes we get weak. And pretending like we don't doesn't help anybody. You know, sometimes people be more encouraged knowing that you struggle too. Right? Because sometimes people, they don't want to get close to us because they feel like they can't live up to the image we portrayed. Well, I can't hang with them because, you know, they holy. They holy. They don't go through nothing. I mean, life is great. Hate them. Hate them. they only knew. Saying was real, but Jesus is real. Golly. Life changing. And yes, Thomas couldn't see because of his doubt, but it didn't mean Jesus couldn't see him. So the people that you witnessing to that is not accepting your testimony as proof, pray for them. Pray that God will show himself to them like he's ultimately shown himself to you. Right? We know, and you can't unknow it. That's one thing about knowing something. You can't unknow it. And once you see something, you can't unsee it. And once you feel something, you can't unfeel it. Right? So let's find our Thomas. Let's hang in there with him. Let's pray for him and fast for him and love on him. Right? So that God will show himself to them. Right? Because the goal is to win one. That's the goal, to win one. And that goal will never change. It'll never change. It's to win one. All right, let's get out of here. They call Thomas has been nicknamed Doubting Thomas. But I bet if you could ask him, Thomas would probably describe himself as the realest of the real. Because when I left here, we was all in here hiding and scared to death. Now you said you saw something I didn't see. I'm still scared. And gonna be scared till I see it. After Jesus left, they started saying, bring it. Peter said, you want to kill me? Turn me upside down, baby. You want to mock me? You want to kill me like Jesus? Turn me upside down. I ain't even worthy to die like that. Put me on the cross upside down. There's only one Jesus. I can't even die like that. Because my blood ain't going to save the world. They start cutting off their heads. Fear don't change nothing. Life has already been ordered. Anyway, find your Thomas. Find your Thomas. May the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight. O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. In Jesus' name, amen. Find somebody you didn't ride with, hug them and tell them that you love them.